Salt and blisters, what an almighty racket! Have you bells for feet? What's your name, lad? If I'm to hold a grudge, best to know the name.
I'm Cal. This is BD1.
My bantam old mum dubbed me Scuba Stev. Scuba the Fisher, am I?
You know, there's a fish tank down in Pyloon Saloon that could use some attention.
Pyloon Saloon? That'll have an infested watering hole down in your valley.
All right. Yet I asked.
Ah, fine, twist my arm. I'll do it. Meet me at the saloon and we'll appraise this so-called tank. Ken, you couldn't stay away. You're ready for seeing the sea spray once it's misted your gums.
I guess not.
You're the aspect of a fisher, lad. And, lucky for you, we're perched just above the lair of the sea fish.
Sea fish, huh?
That's right. An impossible catch. No fisher in the right mind would pursue such a quarrelsome foe. No fisher, but Scuba Stev. You see that, lad?
That was pretty impressive.
You still think I'm small time, eh?
No, I believe
Well then, I've no choice but to regale you with my bleak-most history. Tarry a moment, and I'll tell you a thing or two about old Scuba Stev. So, you wish to prick up your ears and receive the tale of Scuba?
If you're sharing stories, we'll listen.
Then you be a fool, my lad. A sordid tale will bring you nothing but grief and woe.
Okay, well, if you're not sharing stories, we'll...
Oh, fine, I'll tell you. At your own insistence, and at your own peril. My story begins in a small village on the frozen banks of Kavita, my home world. Nights black as quillfish in it. Winters so cold, a stern look could turn you to glass.
Doesn't sound like the easiest place to grow up.
Difficult, aye. From the moment your mother's milk froze on your tongue to the moment you found it upon frozen streets. You see, the fishes, they had the right of it. They dwelt far below the ice, where warm currents danced like ribbons in the wind. To fish so scarce a quarry, on account of the great fish famine, well, it's nae a mild undertaking. But for all me belly-aching now, 'twas a peaceful enough life for a wee Sicavian with an instinct for the rod.
So you discovered your talent early.
Such a talent was I, that as a lad, me hardly sporting my first prickly chin hair, I was given an audience with Undone. But that'd be a tale for another time. Oh, and some advice, lad. If you're planning to scale the mountain, you'll need to keep a strong grip. Ah, lad, cast your eyes over this beauteous tank.
Glad you came around to it.
It didn't make a fetching first impression. I've a mind to give it a third scrubbing. Cleaning the filter, you'd think someone tried to cram a moss through a sieve.
Can't unhear that.
Watch your step, lad.
Have we walked in on another dangerous expedition?
Well, the feral sneakfish prefers the taste of crab, but would happily settle for your toe.
Are you sure all this is worth the risk?
There's great beauty in peril, lad. And these noble beasts demand respect, you know. As you'll see.
Will you work for Saw Gerrera again?
Not sure. Haven't heard from him since Coruscant.
Chopped and blasted the blasted fishwife! Nearly bit off my damn flipper! The cursed scalemonger! I'll have it for chum! I'll cut it with a rusted rubber!
So much for a noble beast demanding great respect.
Yeah, you're right. I'll deal with you later. Shall we continue me sordid tale? Where were we? Ah, yes. By virtue of my prodigious fishing talents, I was taken to see the mysterious one they call Undone. I can see it still. Wee Scuba, ushered into yon black-mouthed cave. I barely make out the figure, glinting with moonlight. I scrubbed my eyes, like a old tar scrubbing the deck. And there she was, a vast creature. Great tentacles blooming from her blubber, like cables gorging on a fuel tank. One of the tentacles twitched into the air, just over my head, and then, wham! Right on the noggin, so I'm told. I staggered out the cave like a lover first acquainted with a deck. But something else happened. I think when that fell tentacle struck me, Undan took something straight out of my brain and put something else in.
She put something in your brain?
Aye, boy. The subtle art of catching a fish. The art of focus. And in the dark, with nothing but the bristles on your chin for company, that focus is special. From that day forward, when I plunged my line into the frigid waters, it would emerge with a fish. 3 times out of 7.
That's less than half.
My village told me that I'd be the one to save them from the great fish famine. Little did I know that the grapnel was soon to arrive on our shores.
Gonna assume that's a bad thing.
Perhaps, lad. And perhaps not. But that'll be a story for another time. Watch where you look, Larry. The frightful reef-fish is known to stun his quarry with a blinding flash of light.
I guess you have a plan though, right?
Cal, you kindly lover. Sometimes I forget you're only half-cooked around the gills. The reef-fish has attracted less kindly fishers, however. Once, I knew a noble who deigned to keep one as a pet. Aha! Got her safely away. Oh, but the noble was nae so lucky. She paraded the reef-fish at a gala, and the guest of honor, a senator, lost her eyesight peering in the tank.
Blinded by greed, huh?
Huh? Aye! Good one.
Aye, indeed.
Yeah, all right, that's enough. The tale continues. When we last spoke, I warned of the grapnel's arrival. That great ship came descending on us like an anchor cutting the deep. Ne'er a more fearsome ship did you clamp eye on. She was sharp, like a fish, like the nose of a bony fish. She had 3 great claws. Aye, the landing gear. But when her great jaws parted, aye, the loading ramp. Will you hush and let Scuba tell the story? Her great jaws parted, disgorging her dread crew. A more vile pack of fisher folk you never did see. And led by the vilest of them all, Captain One-Yick Wet, the bearded, bezel-less bug that he intended to fish in our waters. Trophy hunters they were, in search of the most rare catches. Well, we Sikavians refused. We had the great famine to contend with, see? Every fish was precious. But the ferocious captain didn't care for our troubles. With a belch, he produced from his creel a mighty harpoon. Wait, cried wee Scuba, hopping off of his rock. I know these waters like the taste of my own tongue. There'll be few fish beneath yon ice. But, continued I, if you take me with you, and if you leave my village be, I could show you how to coax the rarest of fishes onto your line. Aye. The dread captain stroked his briny beard. After a long moment, he held out his hand and grinned most terribly. Lad, said he, you be in luck. I'll be requiring another for my crew, one who knows the curve of the sea. Oh, Cal. If I could only go back to that moment when I shook Captain Wet's rigid hand. If only I'd never stepped off my wee rock. But my encounter with Undan had given me a taste for the unknown. I couldn't resist the call of adventure, and I had to save my people. So, I left with the grapnel, thinking the business done. I would be a fisher for Captain Whet. Of course, my adventure had only begun. For just when the grapnel hit orbit...
More trouble, I take it?
Ah, but I've havered on long enough. And come back another time and I'll tell you more. Coward!
Hey, Scuba. How's the water?
Ah, fine. I just wanted to thank you for lending me your tank. Plenty more space for plenty more fishes, though. Let's keep them all spinning, eh? Quit that yammer, boy. You gotta fear the fish. Did you not hack my words?
I heard you. Not sure I understand, though.
'Tis the noise, lad. A fisher must be master of all the senses, eh? We're in the lair of the fan-tailed larfish. The greatest smeller of things foul beyond the deep core.
Are you saying we smell foul?
You're no lethal peach. Ah, nae to worry. Being clever, I can to apply the pungent musk of the glotsome crab to me suit. Oh, the old fishy won't know what hit her. One of my fiercer quarries, but the law was no match for Scuba, Stev, and his potent aromas. I come to think, you contributed a few smells of your own to the melee. I owe you a debt of gratitude.
Don't mention it.
Catch you later, laddie. And, if you did rinse yourself off in the waters, I'd need mind. So, you wish to hear of a time on the grapnel with the crew of the dread Captain Wanyak Wet?
Let's hear it.
Aye. My tenure began with quite a bump. The moment the grapnel hit orbit, her claxons began to sing. A barrack ship full of lawful types swam out to the stars and hailed us. What be the meaning of this? Growled our captain. We're simple fisherfolk. Your transponder codes tell a different tale, came the reply. You be standing on stolen property, you do. Aye, you've rightful caught us, said the captain. Come on aboard, and I'll surrender what was stolen. But scarcely had the lubbers set foot on the deck of the grapnel, when wham! The captain's harpoon skewered them like a quailfish on a spit. Now you can't do that when you're running line, can you? Said the captain to me, grinning in his foulsome way. I'm sorry to say that I picked up the harpoon that black day. For years, I did not toss a fish back into the sea when I caught her. Well, that is until... blubbered you to death. I'll continue my tale soon, lad. Coward! Oh, you're red for a treat.
What are you fishing for?
I'm hunting the ferocious me. Did you know the me was the very first fish we Scuba caught?
That must have been quite a day.
Aye, I was barely yay-high back then. Little Scuba swam headlong into the creature's mouth. But, plucky as I was, I couldn't digest me before fishing fellows pulled us out.
Sounds more like it caught you.
Aye, it takes me back. Stick around, boy, and I'll top us off with a tale. Aye, so we return to my time on the grapnel. Against the protestations of my heart, I forsook the rod and line for the harpoon. For years, we trawled the outer rim, spearing every fish that happened across our path. Talented as I was, I speared more fish than the rest of the crew. Put together, fool as I was, I didn't have the wisdom to be ashamed. The dread Captain Wanyak Wet took notice. He showered me in brevets, gave me the best of catches, and scarcely a year after I left Kavita, I became his first mate. Shortly after my promotion, we were on our way to Marooned to sell the carcass of a gooberfish. But, wham! Just as we dove into hyperspace and the great ocean world streaked into view, so did she. The most glorious creature I'd ever beheld. A whale of marvelous proportion. But swimming through Manan's orbit like it was nothing but an easterly current back home. I was transfixed.
No kidding. How close did you get?
Funny you should ask. I didn't have long to set my eyes abulge before he crashed headlong into her. The grapnel bounced off her like chum off flotsam. We plummeted down to the ocean, sundering the grapnel on the sea floor, where a gang of pirate quarren were holed up. The filthy Zephyrs. We swam out to the riven hull and found ourselves surrounded by quarren, demanding all manner of things, including our bounty of fish. So, away we swam, Captain White, the crew, and myself. But, blind as we were at such depth, we shortly ran into a dead end, finding ourselves surrounded by quarren. Find me again, and I'll continue the tale. Hello, laddie.
Dangerous spot to catch a fish.
Nay, dangerous fish to catch a sport.
Sure.
Aye, that one slipped the line, but sarcasm is weak, mate. Besides, I've gathered my focus for my quarry, the fearsome, blodsome crab. One of my old crew, a mate on the grapnel, once tried to pluck a crab from the sea foam, when suddenly, wham! Overboard she went. Where was I? Aye! She flopped overboard like a quillfish wriggling out of a tin. The crab yanked her in by the nostril. Sometimes you have to strike first, no?
Do you really believe that?
A flexible compass may not serve you on the roiling waves of Manan, but it does make the seas of the soul easier to brook, no? Stay a moment, and I'll regale you with the next chapter of my tale.
So Scuba, whatever happened with the pirates?
So there we were, 4 quarren, armed with spears, each way a mind to make a mantelpiece of my wee rubbery head. I looked over to me captain, and he stared right back, waving his arms like a goober fish in heat, at the harpoon I held in my hand. Oh, for a black instant, I considered nailing those pirate quarren to the rocks with my harpoon. But something stopped me from pulling the trigger. Perhaps it was the sparkle that caught my eye. The sparkle of a passing glumbrig eel. What would those pirates say to a whole school of glumbrig eels? A crackle and a sparkle as they be, thought I. So I opened my wee mouth and emitted the mating call of the eel.
You speak eel?
Aye, but I forgot to turn on me comm. We Scuba alone heard the cry. But my demented expression put such a fright on the quarren that they dropped the blasters. By the time they'd come to the senses, we were swimming away as fast as our flippers could carry us. It was only later, as we fled aboard the Zephyr's schooner, that I realized how close the real danger was. But I shall continue my tale next time. Do you see this, lad? Pin me to the mast, the tank's over halfway full.
I hope they all get along.
Aye, but this is no the time for self-congratulation, laddie. There's still leagues of bubbles left for more fishes. Let the hunt continue. My boy.
Skoova, hey, what's waiting beneath the surface this time?
These strange climes have a most mysterious resident. The Viscid Lurker. There they love to nestle into the cozier reaches of the sea, but they're no too cozy for Scuba Stev.
Nice, I think.
Got it. You know, I was famed for my lurker catching talents. Oh, and lad, I know what you'll say. Scuba, you were only prized for your skill in catching them on account of your wee stature. And I might be you're right. But you can no more fit a basilisk in a lurker's lair than an oyster in a thimble.
Sounds right to me.
Can I interest you in a tale?
So, Scuba, back to your story. Were you actually marooned in deep space by Captain Wet?
Aye, lad. There I sat, tummy a-rumble, gazing out at the void. My somber reflection staring back from the porthole. Was it hours? Years? Neither would faze me. But I do recall this. After a term most interminable, there she was, like a bowsprit cutting through a crest. The great space whale, still sporting the grapnel's imprint on her side, emerged from a parted void. Aye, even now it brings the salt to my eyes. Her great blubbery undulations tossed me pod through the stars like a goose-winged skiff. The stars swirled about like 100,000 fishes until suddenly I saw a planet below. There my pod crashed, and there I was rescued by kindly locals. I had been saved by this marvelous creature from the depth of space. I tried searching for her. Alas, to no avail. She eluded me for years before I packed my satchel and headed home for Kavita. Most didn't believe what I'd seen. They say she was not with the terminal spasm of a starving salt's brain. But I know what I saw, lad. I know what I saw. Of course, when I returned home, things were not as I remembered them. But that be a tale for another time.
Isn't it a little dark down there for fishing?
A true fisher doesn't rely on the sun to do the seeing. A true fisher fishes with the mind. Sink your eyes on this. You're asking yourself, how in the deep did old Scuba know where the fishy was hiding? And what you don't know is that the barbed hookfish always travels northward.
How does it know which way's north?
Well, you see, it's equipped with a kind of define I bumped into it on my way down. But a true fisher knows that a pocket full of luck is more important than some cod migration pattern. Now for a story, if you've the time. So, after years of searching for the great whale, I returned home to the frozen shores of Kavita, where my tale began. And this world on which I was weaned and warmed seemed but a moon to me careworn eyes. So small. I foot-slogged my way back to Undun's cave, but I found it empty, and somehow colder than I remembered. You know, lad, sometimes the truth brings peace, and sometimes it brings sadness. The fish is nae always what you thought it would be when it bit the line. I dragged myself out of that cave and back to my village. And what I discovered next sent a spar through me thrice-pickled belly. All me kith and kin, old and bairn, ravaged by famine and cold. For none other than Captain Wanyik Wet had been fishing in their waters, sparing what few fish remained and taking them off-world. And so it was that I found myself once again in search of the dread captain and his crew. Not just for my own justice, but to liberate my very home. When we next speak, I'll tell you what became of my crusade. Laddie, look at this! The tank is a bustle! A veritable fishing colony!
Think there's room for more?
Aye, but though it brings a tear to my eye, I fear we may be reaching capacity. Too many more and old Scuba won't be able to wet his flippers without slapping a fishy. I'll see you out in the wide world, laddie. The hunt continues! Cal, ahoy! Step tender, lad. This one's a rare catch indeed.
What is it?
The fabled farfish. Its tail is one riven with greed, soaked to the bone with tragedy. There are scant few far left on account of their succulent glands. but I do not intend to harvest the poor creature for its organs. I intend to bring it back to the saloon, where I might one day find a mate for it.
Playing matchmaker, huh? You found another fish before?
No, but fishing's about leaving the world better than you found it. A ripple's only as good as the stone you cast. Now for a tale, lad. Aye, our story nears its end. I discovered that Captain Whit was plundering my very home seas for exotic fish, and in the process, starving the old tars who raised me from a wee yoke. I spent many months in search of them. At long last, I discovered them on the salted shores of the third moon of Antine. I hied to Antine and trucked me foe to the Caracas Trench, a fissure sliced clean through the moon's heart. There, amongst the brine and black, I found him. Wanya Whit and his vile crew, surrounded by glumbering eels, spearing them with their harpoons. "Captain," I cried, "you've broken your promise never to harvest the seas of Kavita." And I said, "Your command be forfeit if you dinna forswear my home waters." Oh, I'll scarce forget the snarl he issued as he turned to me, slow as a frozen reef, regarding me after years of thinking me dead. "This," he growled, "is why you dinna toss the fish back into the sea." Before I could shake my flippers, the barb of his harpoon spun through the deep, and its hook pierced me in the chest. My juices filled the water, and as my vision grew dark, I espied Wanyek, smiling sharp as a fang.
That's horrible, Skoova.
I told you, lad, that mine be a dark tale. I'll tell you more when next we meet. Cal! Stay your wandering boots, my lad, and answer old Scuba. Do I strike cutting fisherman?
Not sure what you mean.
Me appearance, lad. Does it warm your shallows? Does it put a sea spray on your face?
You look nice, Scuba.
Let's hope the felled newt agrees, laddie. I'll have to muster all my seaward charms if I'm to lure it into my grasp.
Seems it liked you.
Aye, don't be surprised. It is a great talent of mine. You see, the frilled newt is the most sensual of sea folk, skittish, except when it spies a potential mate. Hence my great vanity on this day. It is a shame to deceive him, but I can offer a quiet home in my tank as a recompense.
Sounds fair to me.
Now, shall we continue my tale? So there I was, deep in the Caracas Trench, Wanyek's harpoon drilled through me paunch, watching the lights fade from my own eyes. The dread captain peeled his whiskers from his teeth and grinned a most ghastly grin, when suddenly I saw the glumbering eels a-swirl. It seemed that, in the midst of my distraction, they'd taken flight. It dawned on me. I recalled to me mind the great meeting call of the eels, my last hope. So, rousing my final gasp of air, I sounded their shrill cry.
What happened?
Well, lad, I'll tell you. The eels swarmed in an electric blaze. The dread crew scattered, and Wanyek, that damned Wanyek, that dread captain, was cooked like an evening quillfish. As the eels smote him into the deep, I felt consciousness run out of my ears. Darkness fell upon me. When I awoke, well, find me again, and I'll conclude my tale. Come on.
Thanks for the assist.
Hey, Skoova.
Notice anything different?
Can't say I do.
Must say, laddie! It's a sparkle with grease! And you may ask, Scuba, you old salt, have you lost your rudder? Are you planning to cook yourself into buttered jam?
The thought crossed my mind.
No, lad. I'll show you. You see that, lad? The blue-finned crayfish is a fearsome warrior. Not just because its claws are sharper than the bristles on my lip, but also because it's as slippery as a shiver pea taking an afternoon dip. So, how do you fight slippery? By being muckle slippery yourself.
I'll remember that next time I'm in a bind.
Oh, and I've only just begun, lad. If you've a moment, I'll continue my tale. When I awoke from my last duel with Wanyak, it was on the deck of a fishing schooner. It seemed my speared carcass had bobbed to the surface and been caught by a local fisher.
What about Captain Wet? Did he survive?
If that sack of seared slime yet plagues the galaxy, I've nae heard stem the stern of him, nor of his crew. Perhaps more importantly, the ordeal awoke me to the truth. I had no desire to spear fish, nor fisher. I had no desire to cross harpoons with dread captains, or to skewer the deadliest fish. In the hurly-burly of it all, I lost sight of myself. The fisherwoman who caught me, she knew of a nearby world with a great multitude of fishes. Kobo. So to Kobo did I go. And since, I've realized why I like to fish.
Why's that?
Because I like fish, Cal. I like shiny fish. I like big fish and small fish. I like fish with eyes splayed wide and fish with eyes pointed straight. I even like fish with no eyes at all. And I like seeing the face on lovers like you when they realize just how many kinds of fish there are in this galaxy. Well, that be my tale, Cal. Perhaps it was no as gloomy as I kent.
You went through a lot. I'm glad you're okay, Scuba.
Oh, thank you, lad.
Thank you. You've given me a lot to think about.
Aye, lad. Go ahead and ponder. But don't ponder your years down the river. There's always another fish. Lad, you're all right. Oh, what a burden off our wee shoulders.
Were you worried?
Well, I just had the most loathsome encounter with one of those battle droids. I wanted to might have found you too.
What happened?
The metal beast told me to present my tribute to the Bedlam Raiders. Woe betide any lover who dares to steal a fish from Scuba, Stev.
Did you get into a fight with a battle droid?
No, they took leave of me spot. Perhaps they were frightened by my crude gestures, eh?
I'm glad you're okay, Scuba.
Keep an eye out, Cal. There'll be strange folk in these waters. Well, lad, we've done it. A tank thronging with the finest fish. A tale told to the utmost. An innocent young boy's eyes opened to the wide galaxy.
Something like that. What's next for you?
I've been asking myself just that. In recounting my infamous annals, I've been... something's gnawing at my innards, lad. A black notion that perhaps, just perhaps, Wanyak Wit isn't truly dead. For Kavita, and for my own peace, I must know. Perhaps it'll be tomorrow. Perhaps a year from tomorrow. But I fear I must pursue my dread nemesis one last time.
I understand. Hey, if you ever need anything.
I know, lad. I know. Lad, I've been admiring all the fish we've added to my tank. And it reminded me of something I've been meaning to get off my chest.
What's that?
Well, I'm no creature of comfort, but I've got to tell you, I've taken a wee shine to your yacht.
The Mantis?
Aye. You know why I like her?
Is it because she reminds you
It's
of a...
because she reminds me of a fish. Stunner of a trunk, hull smooth as a Thranta's blubber, with a fin and all. Alas, snow as agile as a real fish, though.
I don't think Grease would enjoy taking the mantis underwater either.
I know. Laddie, did you know that I be a poet of sorts?
I didn't, but I have a pretty good idea what you wrote about.
Hark, I muckle love to fish.
Yep.
To try to catch a fish. Oh, to see through the eye of a fish. Ah, I can't recall the last line.
If only I had my wish.
Here. I do like my fish.
That was really something, Scuba.
Aye, well, still a work in progress. You know, I muckle love to fish. To try to catch a fish dish? No. Cal, have you time for a chuckle? I've a wee joke for you.
Sure.
Capital. Hark. Imagine there be a fish with no gills.
Is that the joke?
What do you mean? Is that... Well, of course! How would a fishy breathe with no gills?
Oh, I get it.
Oh, what? You think you can do better? Go on, then.
Okay. How many fish does it take to teach a class?
Give me a minute.
A whole school.
A whole Oh, lad, you're a crack-up.
Just a theory.
I tell you, lad, that metal shark in the sky is giving me splinters from head to toe.
I'm no fan of Star Destroyers either.
Don't they know the fishes need sunlight to grow ruddy and strong?
Not sure wildlife preservation is on the Empire's list of priorities.
Oh, I'll be on their list of priorities soon enough.
Easy, Scuba.
All right, all right. I'll let him off the hook for now.